Mikwano Gyangi, or My Friends, narrated by James Whittier Parker. When I look into her eyes, I see wonder, desire, a hope for the future. She is wondering why I am visiting her village, this tall Muzungu. But there's a child's laughter just behind those questioning eyes. The world could be her oyster. She can imagine a future filled with promise. Although she is undernourished and hungry, she is a happy child. She dreams of a future filled with opportunity even while she is surrounded by the poverty of her village. Asked what she would like to be when she grows up, she simply replies, "A teacher." Best friends. Carefree and comfortable, two girls share the gift of friendship. On this Saturday morning, they've completed their chores, fetching water from the nearby borehole and gathering firewood for the cook stove. They have swept the compound around their family's mud brick homes. Their chores completed, they are free to imagine, to dream, to share stories, to play. Friendship nourishes them. Life is good. Uganda is known as the Jewel of Africa. The source of the Nile River springs from Lake Victoria, flowing steadily northward on its long trek through the Sudan and into Egypt. Uganda is blessed with a good climate, but cursed with malaria carrying mosquitoes. Water is plentiful in Uganda, but hard to obtain. Clean water is something we take for granted, but here in Uganda, water is a commodity which must be earned through one's sweat. Water is not clean. It is not free of parasites or dirt. It must be captured and hoisted and carried home. This is a daily chore, and one which usually is borne by women and children. This boy is using a Ugandan mule, the bicycle, to transport these heavy containers of amasi, or water. He is fortunate. The borehole is less than 3 kilometers from his village, and the bicycle enables him to carry 3 containers. When his father is using the bicycle, he can carry only one, balanced on his head. "Hello, Muzungu. What makes your skin so pale?" she must be wondering. The children have all come running to see the tall Muzungu stranger who is visiting at their school. And they all want to touch my hand, feel my skin, hear my voice. When I greet them in Luganda, "Mulimutia banabangi," they giggle and reply in a perfect chorus of little voices, "Jendi, Sabo." They gather around me, pressing to be close enough to touch me, curious and excited, reaching out to feel my hand. I take their pictures and then show them the digital image on my camera. The squeals of delight and laughter are contagious, and we are soon all laughing. They think my accent is funny. The children begin learning English in school if they are able to attend, but in this part of Uganda, they speak Luganda to each other and at home. Women carrying water in the eastern Mbali region step aside to allow our car to pass. A woman carries water from Lake Kyoga to the fishing village of Chikoiro in the Luero district. Infested with parasites, the water from the lake causes a variety of ailments in the village. A boy collects water from a pond while his cow drinks nearby. A man takes a sip of rainwater collected in a concrete tank, and a young boy carries his load on his head. In Chikoiro, a fishing village, Lake Kyoga is the source of water for washing dishes and drinking. Children wash dishes and carry water from Lake Kyoga. Children carry the water home in jerry cans. A young girl here begins the long walk home from the borehole. This young man is carrying water to supply a rural clinic. This is a typical village house constructed of local mud bricks with a thatched roof. This young boy is sitting in his yard while his mother cooks nearby. Gathering firewood for sale can be back-breaking work. A young boy proudly displays his homemade soccer ball. 3 schoolgirls pose for a picture. School-age girls traditionally wear their hair trimmed short. As they reach adulthood, they may begin to let it grow longer. Laughter can be good medicine. It is an international language that knows no boundaries, and of course, it is highly contagious. Children everywhere need to play. It is how they learn about the world. But play must come after the chores are completed. Watching out for siblings and caring for younger children is a fact of everyday life for children in Uganda. Unsure of this tall white man with a camera, this little girl poses cautiously with her ball. After learning that this Muzungu visitor is a friend of her uncle, she begins to relax. A schoolgirl and her brother care for their little sister in Kanyagoga. Everyone is dressed up for visitors. Christopher Parker visits with a little girl in a rural village near Kasana. These finely attired women gather for a baby's baptism in Mbali. It's about building relationships, making friends, sharing ideas, conversation, stories. We have much in common. We desire and value the same things: good health, friendship, knowledge, love. We want our children to live in a safe place, to be healthy, to go to school and have a future filled with promise. 4 children greet us at the intersection of Bombo Road and the road which leads to Nandare. The older 2 appear to be twins. Mama and Tata Saboa pose for pictures in the brick home their son built for them. Tata Saboa is a war survivor who lived for 5 years in the bush to escape the soldiers. When he emerged at the end of the war, he had a long gray beard and bushy salt and pepper hair. The soldiers who came upon him suspected him of being a rebel collaborator, and he was beaten severely by a teenaged soldier, suffering a number of broken ribs. Today, at 84 years, he has beaten the odds by surviving close to 40 years beyond the norm. He enjoys a bevy of grandchildren who seem to flock around him. Neither he nor Mama Saboa speak English, not having had the benefit of learning it in school. This old man posed for his portrait after proudly presenting a colorful duck to visitors. The gift was significant because this was one of only 4 ducks that he owned. A young girl stands outside her family's house in the fishing village of Chikoiro. Herding cattle is this family's occupation. Too often young boys stay home from school to tend to cattle or work in the garden. Florence, a primary school teacher, listens to a presentation at a school meeting. Here the author receives a prize rooster, Nkoko Mpanga, as a gift. As we visited the village of Chikoiro, a group of about 20 curious children followed us around as we visited families. They looked hungry. When I spotted a woman selling tomatoes at a stall, I jumped at the opportunity and purchased all of her inventory, distributing 1 tomato to each child. This little girl planned to save hers, but another boy snatched it away from her. An older boy immediately retrieved it, and she took a bite just before I took this picture. Poverty too often prevents good nutrition. In fact, hunger is an ongoing problem. Poverty is also the reason for diseases like malaria to continue to wreak havoc on children. When their parents can't afford the medicine, the results can become fatal. Lack of electricity and running water mean that clothes washing is typically done the old-fashioned way, by hand. The same goes for washing children. Here, 2 children help each other with those harder-to-wash areas, the feet. Tradition also plays a role in planting and transporting goods to and from the market. Women, girls, and children balance heavy baskets, bundles of firewood, water jugs, and jerry cans on their heads. There is little that can't be carried that way. Carol, peeling a carrot, works as a housekeeper, earning the equivalent of $16 per month. She sings softly as she scrubs the floors, cooks, gathers firewood. She is happy, but even in Uganda, she cannot survive on her income, and when a bout of malaria hits, she has a hard time paying for the medicine to make her well. These 2 boys are orphan children who are in the care of a neighbor after their mother died. He tries to provide food and makes toys for them, like the toy cars they are driving. Bartholomew Camara and his wife and daughter pose for a picture outside of the shop he rents. Bartholomew works for the Catholic Diocese as a maintenance man for about $20 per month. He supplements his income by selling cooking oil, rice, sugar, beans, and other household staples. He is a resourceful dedicated husband and a hard worker. He is fortunate to have a job and a shop. He has also beaten the odds. Too many of his generation have lost the battle with HIV/AIDS and other deadly diseases. Carol smiles as she gathers firewood for the cook stove. Carol has also beaten the odds, but she suffers too often from the recurring effects of malaria. Life in the fishing village of Chikoiro on the shores of Lake Kyoga is changing as the numbers of Nile perch decline. Fishermen repair their boats, mend their nets, and drink local brew to pass the time. As the fish population seems to dwindle, so does their income and their hope. Villagers draw their water from the lake. The incidence of waterborne parasitic infection in Chikoiro is high. Gastrointestinal illnesses are a frequent problem here. Life in Uganda is changing. Slowly, electrification is reaching some of the larger towns and people need materials to build houses. It's the lack of money that's the biggest obstacle to improvement. People want to work, but jobs are few. There's no money, yet there is always hope. In Kasana Town, the glass is always half full. James is a brickmaker. He sells his bricks for about 2 cents apiece when the market is good. Prosy runs a shop in the village of Kasana. She struggles to pay the rent on her small stall as she waits for her market to grow. Richard and James are partners. Together they rent the small piece of ground from which they draw the clay for their bricks. Amidst the natural beauty, people must find ways to live. They need to deal with the basics of life first: water, food, shelter. Then comes preparation for the future: education. Education is the key. It's the only way to truly enter the global village on an equal footing. Joseph Rubagumya is worried. He's trying to complete secondary school. He's smart, he has good grades, and he hopes to become a doctor. It's the constant struggle to get school fees that worries him most. He must rely on the generosity of American benefactors to pay those fees. He would gladly work, but there are no paying jobs to be had. Joseph and his sister, his mother, and 4 other children share this round mud brick house with thatched roof. The house is about 10 feet in diameter. We shared a lunch of nkoko, matoke, rice, and potatoes inside while we waited for a sudden thunderstorm to pass. Moving from place to place isn't easy and can be dangerous. Most citizens don't own a car, and many families don't even own a bicycle, but this opens up employment opportunities for enterprising young men who operate bicycle and motorcycle taxis called boda-bodas. The cost between 200 and 500 shillings depending on the distance. 500 shillings equals approximately 30 cents. A man enters the town of Wobalenzi on a dirt road. In Umbali, women take boda-bodas to church. A man brings his bananas to market in Kampala. A husband and wife on their way to a wedding share a motorcycle boda-boda. It's not unusual to see 3 or even 4 people on a motorcycle. In the capital city of Kampala, a young woman has hired a boda-boda bicycle taxi to get around in town. In Umbali, a mother carries her 2 children to the market on a family bicycle. Betty Nalubira and Carol Zabuga make longer trip to Kampala on a motorcycle boda-boda to visit Carol's grandmother in her village. This stretch of paved road is a rarity. Justine works for about $16 per month as a housekeeper, sweeping, cooking, and cleaning from 6:30 a.m. till about 10 p.m. most days. She sleeps on a cot in the kitchen and does laundry in a basin, mopping the floor with a rag. Justine would like to go to secondary school, but she has no money and no sponsor to pay the fees. A visit to the Saboa family at their home 1 hour from the nearest town by motorcycle. Olive and Kathy are secondary school students and best friends. A mother and daughter keep out of the sun in the village of Chikoiro. Kampala is a modern city with dusty streets crowded with motorcycles, bicycles, trucks, and buses, belching black diesel smoke, and of course, people. At night, the city looks like any Western city might look, but by day, the disparity becomes evident. Below, families construct homes from whatever materials they can acquire. They live on the hills surrounding Kampala without running water, sanitation, or electricity. They make their own bricks and dry them in stacks in the sun. Many have come seeking work or opportunity, but jobs are hard to come by and pay is erratic. Traditional dance and vibrant color. Dance is more than a form of expression, it's communication. At Katikamu, as the drummers beat out an intoxicating rhythm, the young woman dances a story about the importance of being tested for HIV/AIDS. She is a member of a post-test club which encourages young people to be responsible, to be safe, and to be healthy. A grandfather considers his grandson's request, and below, a group of young dancers celebrate at an outdoor Catholic Mass. Catholics and Muslims are the two predominant religions in Uganda. In the villages, Christians and Muslims live side by side in harmony. The source of the Nile River, which flows northward through the Sudan on its way into Egypt. Hunger. It's hard to grasp the concept of hunger when your belly is full. In the wealthier parts of the world, we can always grab a meal, 24 hours a day. Within minutes, we can find something to eat. In much of Africa, particularly in rural Uganda, food depends upon what is growing in the garden. If there is a drought or blight, hunger follows. There is typically little household income to purchase food from others. Most families grow their own, and since many families may own only a tiny plot of land, it is hard to grow enough to feed a family, even when conditions are ideal. School children at Kanyagoga receive a meal of porridge, a gift from American visitors who have arranged to pay for 1 year's worth of lunch program. Each child will now receive a daily lunch. Previously, school attendance fluctuated dramatically. Now, hunger is down, attendance is up, students are more attentive, and the general health of the community has improved. The project sparked the idea to create a community garden to provide for next year, and each family is contributing to the success of that project. Working together, they hope to make a lasting change for the community. Schoolgirls gather as cows graze on their ball field. Villagers come to the road to meet us and attend a meeting at a local primary school. It's amazing how much we have in common half a world away from Uganda. We all want the same thing: good health, education, opportunity, hope for the future, and a better life for our children. Children crowd into a classroom to hear their instructor. Happy children and new sandals for a little girl on the right. Life in Chikoiro is not easy, and the family is hungry today. There's no income to buy food, and the garden is bare. Sophia cooks in their kitchen, while her son stands dejectedly nearby, and a family in Chikoiro gathered by their door for a photo. Education is truly the key to the future. School children gather to meet their American visitors. The author poses with Christopher, a community elder who is very supportive of the schools at Luatunga. Education takes place without the need for shoes, in classrooms with dirt floors, some with desks purchased and donated by churches in the USA, some without any furniture. They study the basics, they learn English, and they learn about foreign places that have electricity, where clean water spills from faucets in people's homes, where people have enough to eat, and where they keep extra food in refrigerators. In the capital city of Kampala, of course, there is electricity, and it is slowly beginning to come to the towns. But in their lives, it's a foreign concept. In the close to 20 years that have passed since I wrote this book, many things have changed. Some of my friends have passed away, and life has changed for others. I've always kept in close touch with my friends. Prosy runs a small shop in Wobalenzi, but sadly Bartholomew has passed on. Frances is continuing her studies in medicine in Kampala with the hope that she will one day become a doctor. Flavia studied law, and Olivia accounting, while Betty and Frances both became nurses. Betty is currently the charge nurse at Bishop Basili Hospital in Kasana Luero, where she acts as the head of the surgery department. She has built a small house near the hospital and is hoping to get electricity as soon as it becomes available. Carol joined a convent and became a religious sister. Jane has graduated from Mulago Hospital School of Public Health Dentistry as a dentist. She has established a dental clinic in Bweli in northern Uganda. During my visit in June of 2024, I brought a group of dentists from Kindersmile who donated supplies, equipment, and knowledge to help serve a growing population of residents amid the flood of Sudanese refugees. I would be remiss if I did not include my friend Jeff Wallaku, who generously drove us everywhere we needed to go and facilitated our trip. He has been a wealth of information and a true friend. We talk about a global village, and it has never been more true than now. The actions we take as a society can impact those who live in rural villages on the opposite side of the world, affecting the prices for their staples, such as rice. Our lack of action can directly impact hunger or health in an economically emerging country. By taking direct action, we can make substantial improvements in the lives of a community. We can sponsor a child in school, for example, resulting in a lifelong benefit not only for that child, but for his entire family, and often for his village as well. Among the giggles and smiling faces lie the hope for Uganda's future. We are part of a global village, one world. We can change that world. It can become a better place for all. It requires only extending a hand up, an offering of hope and opportunity, with the knowledge that our gift can last for generations. For more information, visit parkermotherandchild.org.